Margaret, what about detoxing for medications such as prednisone, which my dog has been on for white dog or dog shaker syndrome? Well, certainly some of these medications, they can get stuck in that matrix that Dr. PJ Broadfoot talked about. So some of these can stay in there. And she shared an example, which is in a way a little hilarious, where people would go into a sweat lodge and then they would basically trip up because they had done some drugs and LSD or whatever, years or decades prior, and that had gotten stuck in that tissue. And then when they were starting to sweat and such, these drugs would then get mobilized and would end up causing them to have a bit of a episode basically. But certainly there are some drugs that can stay in the system, and we certainly won't know all of that. But in general, I don't know that we can particularly detox prednisone in that sense. At least I'm not familiar with that. I haven't really looked into that, but certainly all of these drugs have to go through the liver. So supporting the liver will certainly help to support that. And detoxification is a little bit like if you have a toilet that's plugged up, if you unplug the toilet, then things can flush down. So what we do with detoxification, we kind of open up that pluggedness, and then things can start to slowly funnel out. And the body is really good at kind of monitoring and gauging how much at once it can do. So the body is really smart that way. But basically, if you're focusing on the basics of detoxification, then you will achieve better health. And it may, and most likely, it will also take out some of the prednisone. But I don't really know if prednisone stays in the body all that long. But certainly, some of the flea and tick preventatives, they will stay in the body for quite some time and cause havoc that way. And then also the toxins from vaccines and that sort of thing. But again, that brings me back to the basics. We get so focused on the little details here and there, but we need to just go to the basics. Good nutrition so that they get the nutrients they need. Fixing the gastrointestinal tract, that will do a lot for detoxification already. And that also will decrease inflammation, which then, as a result, you may not need all of these drugs. And then, working on the detox pathways to help support them with the very simple things that Dr. D recommended. And of course, if an animal is really sick, then I recommend working with a veterinarian on that. But what Dr. D shared with you guys was really good, something that you can do with a somewhat healthy animal, and get started. And even on a sick animal, you can also get started with that a little bit because it will just support them, and it's very gentle. But yeah, focusing on the basics, because that's one of the biggest issues that I see in the veterinary field, or the field of pet health, is that people get so focused on one little thing that they forget the bigger picture. And the bigger picture is really to take care of the entire body and help the cells to function better. And that's why in my practice, I use the 7 pillars of health, which starts with the first pillar is nutrition. The second is fixing the gastrointestinal tract. The third pillar is detoxification. The fourth pillar, the pillars that kind of follow that, they are kind of used somewhere, wherever they are needed, including looking at hormonal health. So we want to make sure that the hormones are in good order, that they make enough adrenal hormones, they make enough thyroid hormones, and if not, that we support those. And then one of the other pillars is the nervous system, because everything is innervated by the nervous system. There's communication happening, and the nervous system also innervates the detox organs, including the liver and the kidneys and the GI tract and everything else. So we want to make sure that the communication to all of these organs is happening. And then obviously fitness and exercise is crucial, because if an animal doesn't move and is just pretty much just a couch potato, then things get really sluggish. And without good circulation of things, toxins will accumulate more as well. And I think exercise, I harp a lot on that with my clients and in my course as well, because it can be a wonder drug. I mean, it can save you so much money, not just for your animals, but also for yourself. So make sure that you exercise your animals as much as they possibly can. Obviously, if you have an old crickety dog who is lame, you don't want to go for a marathon run, of course. So you have to use judgment for that, but move them even in the wintertime. Make sure that they move, because I do have patients who they don't do much in the wintertime, and then you can see it in the spring when spring comes around. They've had a major decline during that time, so we don't want that to happen. And then also emotional and mental health, which that is really crucial, because stress levels are now known to, or increase of stress can be more deadly than being a chain smoker. So stress is hugely important when it comes to health, and that's why on one of these days we talk a lot about stress and emotions and energy and that sort of thing. So definitely tune into those really amazing interviews with Barry Sands, Susan Wagner, and then also Miranda Alcott, who's an animal communicator, and then also Patricia Jordan, who talks about electromagnetic radiation and fields and how that is affecting our animals. So you want to kind of get to the basics, remove toxicity, remove the exposure, feed them what they need, support their gastrointestinal tract, support detoxification, and then add all the other pillars to it. And I know they posted that. You should have seen that, the 7 Pillars of Health, the ebook. Make sure you download that, because those are the basics. And if you can get the basics in, your animal is going to be so much better off. And then you don't have to worry about finding a shampoo for the skin, for example. I mean, you still need to have a good shampoo for the skin, but then you don't have to worry so much about trying to fix one little thing. Because if you give them the basics for everything, every single cell of the body is going to be able to heal and function better. And that's what we want. We want the body to function better. We don't want to just suppress symptoms, because trying to find a shampoo for an itchy skin, that's just like trying to suppress symptoms. We want to try to get away from that. But what is causing the problem in the first place? So we want to go find the cause to begin with, and then help these cells to function better, because otherwise it's like putting a piece of duct tape on your car engine light when it comes on, and that's that down the road gets you stuck somewhere in the middle of nowhere in the middle of the night because you didn't take care of that. And it's the same with our animals, it's the same with our planet, it's the same with us humans. It's the same for everybody. We have to look at the underlying cause and then provide the basics, the foundation, and then things can work a whole lot better. So it's not really rocket science that way. We just have to remember to look at the basics and ask these questions.
Do you know which foods have glyphosate in them and how much carbs or protein to give your dog? Click the next video and learn more about these details in feeding your dog and protecting its microbiome.